Hello, this is Emily. I'm going to read you Nellie's tale today, which is titled My Family Said I Failed. My name card was on the farthest table when I arrived for my sister's wedding. Wait, are you Nellie Mitchell, that IT millionaire? Her fiancé asked me as I sat quietly. My sister and parents became pale. All right, let's leave. I was working on a client project in my home office, debugging some code, when my laptop alerted me to a new email. I looked up from my desktop when I heard the sound and saw that it had reached my old Gmail account, which I had created in high school and hardly used any longer. I was instantly drawn to the subject line, Emily and Michael's wedding invitation. The name of the sender, my younger sister, Emily Johnson, made my heart skip a beat. When I clicked on the email, a sophisticated wedding invitation with gold embellishments and delicate pink roses filled my screen. The script for the ceremony said, Emily Johnson and Michael Rohr request the pleasure of your company at their wedding celebration on Saturday, June 15th at 6 p.m. at the Grand Ballroom, Riverside Hotel, our hometown. Emily included a handwritten note beneath the official invitation, saying, Hey Nellie, I hope this email reaches you in good health. I apologize for contacting you using your old email address, but I do not currently have your home address or phone number. I discovered this email among my old high school contacts. Despite all that has transpired between our families, I truly want you to be present at my wedding next month. Having my only sister attend my wedding would mean a lot to me. I hope you'll think about attending, even if it's been more than 10 years since we last spoke. Tell me if you can make it, please. Emily. I felt a range of unexpected feelings as I gazed at the screen for a considerable amount of time. 12 years had passed since I had left that house and never looked back, and 12 years had passed since I had last spoken to any of my relatives. Emily would now be 28. She was just 16 when I left home. I pondered whether she had changed much and what she now looked like. She was this pampered youngster who always got what she wanted when I last saw her. Leaning back in my chair, I considered whether or not to answer. A part of me was fascinated, but another part of me wanted to just delete the email and act as though I had never seen it. Emily wanted me to be there for her wedding. Perhaps she had matured. Perhaps things had changed. I chose to write back after spending almost 20 minutes sitting there. Hello, Emily. Congrats on your engagement, was all I said. I will attend your wedding. After all these years, I'm looking forward to meeting you. Nellie. Before I could alter my mind, I pushed send. The next few weeks passed quickly as I prepared for the trip. I had to clear my schedule, which meant rescheduling some client meetings and pushing back a few project deadlines. My assistant helped me organize everything. I spent some time thinking about what gift to buy for Emily and her fiancé. I didn't want to go overboard, but I also didn't want to look cheap. Finally, I settled on a beautiful crystal vase from Tiffany Elegant, expensive enough to show I cared, but not so flashy that it would draw too much attention. It cost me about $1,500, which wasn't much for me these days, but I figured it was a nice gesture. The day before the wedding, I flew back to my hometown for the first time in a decade. I took a taxi from the airport to the Marriott downtown. After checking in, I unpacked my suitcase and hung up the dress I brought for the wedding. It was a simple navy blue dress, well-tailored, but not flashy. I'd learned over the years that sometimes the most expensive clothes were the ones that looked the most understated. That evening, I ordered room service and tried to prepare myself mentally for seeing my family again. I wondered if my parents would be surprised to see me. I wondered if they'd changed at all or if they were still the same people who'd kicked their 18-year-old daughter out of the house with nowhere to go. I thought about calling Emily to let her know I was in town, but decided against it. I'd see her tomorrow at the wedding. That would be soon enough. The next morning, I woke up early and went for a run around the downtown area. After my run, I went back to the hotel, showered, and spent the afternoon relaxing. I read a book, watched some TV, and tried not to think too much about what the evening would bring. Around 4 o'clock, I started getting ready. I did my makeup carefully, not too much, but enough to look polished. I styled my hair in a simple updo and put on the navy dress with a pair of pearl earrings I bought a few years ago. Looking at myself in the hotel room mirror, I thought I looked good, professional, put together, but not trying too hard. I grabbed Emily's gift from the dresser and called a taxi to take me to the Riverside Hotel. The Riverside Hotel looked exactly the same as I remembered from my childhood. My parents had brought us here for dinner a few times when I was younger, usually for special occasions. The grand ballroom was on the second floor, and I could hear music and laughter coming from inside as I walked down the hallway. As I stepped into the room, I immediately started recognizing faces. There was my Aunt Margaret, who looked older but still had that same bright smile. Uncle Bob was standing near the bar, his hair completely gray now. My cousin Jennifer was talking to a group of people by the windows. She must be in her 30s now, probably married with kids. I walked further into the room, and that's when people started noticing me. Aunt Margaret was the first to approach. "Nellie, oh my goodness, is that really you?" she said, rushing over to give me a hug. But as she pulled back, I noticed something strange in her expression. It wasn't just surprise, there was something else there. Pity, maybe? "Hi, Aunt Margaret, you look great," I said, forcing a smile. "Oh, honey, you look." She paused, looking me up and down. "You look good too." "Really good, actually. Better than I expected." Better than she expected? What did that mean? Before I could ask, Uncle Bob joined us. "Nellie, well, I'll be damned," he said. "Emily said you might come, but we weren't sure." "How are you doing, kiddo?" "I'm doing well, Uncle Bob. How have you been?" "Can't complain. Still working at the plant, you know, same old, same old." He looked uncomfortable, shifting from foot to foot. "So, how are things with you? Did you ever find a decent place to live? Your mom mentioned you were having some trouble with that, you know, finding an apartment and all." "And work? Are you still looking for a steady job?" What the hell was he talking about? I owned my own company. I lived in a beautiful house in the suburbs. Why would he think I was having trouble finding an apartment? "I'm doing fine, Uncle Bob. Really fine." Aunt Margaret leaned closer and lowered her voice. "And what about that husband of yours? Did things work out with him, or?" Again, I was completely lost. "What husband?" They exchanged a look that I didn't understand. "Well, we just heard." "Never mind, dear," Aunt Margaret said, patting my arm in a way that felt patronizing. "We're just glad you're here and that you're okay." More relatives started approaching, cousins I hadn't seen since high school, family friends who remembered me as a teenager. And every single one of them had the same look in their eyes, that pitying look, like they felt sorry for me. My cousin Jennifer came over with her husband, a guy I didn't recognize. "Nellie, wow, it's been forever. How are you holding up?" she asked. "Holding up? I'm doing great, Jennifer. How are you?" I'm good. "Married now, obviously," she said, showing off her wedding ring. 2 kids, living in the suburbs, you know, the whole American dream thing. She paused. "Are you still? I mean, did you ever get back on your feet after everything?" I was getting more confused and frustrated by the minute. What divorce? What job situation? What was everyone talking about? "I think there's been some misunderstanding," I started to say, but Jennifer was already backing away. "Well, I'm just glad you made it to the wedding. Emily will be so happy to see you." As she walked away, I stood there, trying to process what was happening. Everyone was acting like I was some kind of charity case, like they expected me to be broke and desperate. Where were they getting this information? I decided to stop trying to figure it out and just find my seat. I walked around the room, looking for a table with my name on it. I checked the tables near the front, nothing. I looked at the tables in the middle of the room, still nothing. I walked toward the head table, where I could see my parents and Emily in her white wedding dress. As I got closer, my heart started beating faster. It had been 10 years since I had seen any of them. My father saw me first. He was wearing a black tuxedo and looked older, his hair mostly gray now. When our eyes met, His expression changed from casual conversation to something I couldn't quite read: surprise, maybe, or discomfort. "Dad," I said as I approached the table. "Nellie," he stood up and gave me a stiff hug. "You came." "Of course I came. Emily invited me." My mother turned around then, and I saw her face for the first time in a decade. She looked older, more worn than I remembered, but she was smiling. It wasn't a genuine smile, though it was the fake smile she used to put on for company when I was a kid. "Nellie, sweetheart, we're so glad you could make it," she said, standing up to hug me. The hug felt as fake as her smile. Then Emily turned around. She looked beautiful in her wedding dress, elegant and happy, but when she saw me, her expression changed to something that looked almost disappointed. "Nellie," she said, looking me up and down critically. You look like yourself, I guess. Kind of plain and simple, like always." She paused and then added with a smile that didn't reach her eyes, "But I'm happy you're here. At least now you get to see how successful people actually celebrate weddings." The comment hit me like a slap in the face, but I kept my expression neutral. This was Emily's wedding day, and I wasn't going to cause a scene. "Congratulations, Emily." "You look beautiful," I said simply. My mother quickly stepped in, taking my arm. "Come on, honey, let me show you to your table." She led me back through the ballroom, past all the other tables, all the way to the back corner where I'd found my name card. "Here you are, dear," she said, still with that fake smile. "The closest tables are for the closest family members and the most successful guests. You understand?" I understood perfectly. They put me in the back, as far away from the important people as possible. I sat down at my assigned table and watched the wedding ceremony begin. As I sat there, surrounded by strangers and feeling completely out of place, my mind started wandering back to the past. I began remembering why I hadn't spoken to my family in over 10 years. Growing up, it was always crystal clear that Emily was the favorite child. Our parents never even tried to hide it. When Emily was 7 and decided she wanted to play piano, they bought a brand new upright piano and paid for private lessons twice a week. When I was 14 and asked if I could take the free programming classes at school after hours, my mother said I should focus on more practical skills, like cooking and cleaning. Every birthday, Emily got elaborate parties with themes and decorations. My birthdays were usually just cake after dinner, if they remembered at all. Emily got a car for her 16th birthday, a cute little red Honda Civic. When I turned 16, they told me I could walk or take the bus. But I found my own way. I discovered the free programming club at school and threw myself into learning everything I could. I was good at it, really good. The teacher, Mr. Rodriguez, said I had natural talent and encouraged me to keep learning. I started helping neighbors fix their computers and set up their phones, earning $20 or $30 here and there. When I graduated high school, I had applied to several colleges on my own. I'd worked hard to get good grades, hoping for scholarships. The day after my graduation, my parents called me into the living room for a talk. I thought maybe they wanted to congratulate me or discuss my college plans. "Nellie, you're 18 now," my father said. "You're an adult, and it's time you started acting like one." "We don't have money to send you to college," my mother added. "We need to focus our resources on Emily's education. She's got real potential. Besides, you need to move out. We can't have you living here like some freeloader while Emily's trying to focus on her studies. She needs her space." I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. Move out? Where am I supposed to go? "That's your problem to figure out," my mother said coldly. "You're 18. You should have been thinking about this already." I begged them for just a few weeks to save up money for a deposit on an apartment, but they wouldn't budge. My mother said I had until the end of the week. 3 days later, I packed everything I owned into 2 suitcases and a backpack. My friend Jessica's parents were out of town, so she let me stay at her house while I figured things out. A week after moving in with Jessica, I got the acceptance letters I'd been waiting for. I'd been accepted to 4 colleges and one of them a school in the neighboring state, offered me a full scholarship plus room and board. When Jessica's parents came back from vacation, they found out what had happened and were horrified. Mr. and Mrs. Chen had known me since elementary school and always treated me like a second daughter. They gave me $3,000 to help me get settled and drove me to the airport themselves. I remember Mrs. Chen hugging me goodbye and saying, "Make us proud, sweetheart. Show them what they're missing." College was hard at first. I worked 2 part-time jobs while maintaining my grades, but I loved every minute of it. I was studying computer science and finally felt like I was where I belonged. In my 3rd year, I met David in my advanced programming class. He was smart, funny, and shared my passion for technology. We started studying together, then dating, and by senior year, we were inseparable. We got married right after graduation, a simple ceremony at the courthouse with just a few friends present. I took his last name, Mitchell, and we moved to Silicon Valley to start our careers. We both got jobs at tech companies, but our real dream was to create something of our own. We spent our evenings and weekends working on a revolutionary piece of software that would streamline database management for large corporations. After 2 years of development, we had something incredible. We pitched it to several major companies and ended up selling it to IBM for $12 million. With that money, we started our own software development company. We were young, ambitious, and suddenly very wealthy. Our company grew quickly, taking on bigger and bigger clients. Within 5 years, we were worth over $50 million combined. But success couldn't save our marriage. We grew apart as we focused more on business than on each other. After 8 years together, we realized we were better as business partners than as husband and wife. We divorced amicably, splitting our assets equally. David and I remained friends and continued running the company together. Now, at 30, I was worth about $30 million personally. I owned a beautiful house, drove a luxury car, and my company was respected throughout the industry. I'd been featured in several tech magazines and had even given a few keynote speeches at conferences. But my family knew none of this. They had no idea who I'd become or what I'd accomplished. I was pulled back to the present when the wedding ceremony ended and people started clapping. My parents stood up at the head table and my father took the microphone. "Thank you all for being here to celebrate Emily and Michael's special day," he began. As Emily's father, I couldn't be prouder of the woman she's become. He went on about Emily's accomplishments, her marketing degree, her job at an advertising agency, her wonderful personality. Then my mother took the microphone and gushed about Michael, the groom, and how perfect he was for Emily. Michael's parents spoke next, thanking everyone for coming and welcoming Emily to their family. Just as my father was about to wrap up the speeches, someone from the back of the room shouted, "What about Nellie? She should say something too." I froze. I could see my parents' faces change. They clearly didn't want this to happen. Emily looked annoyed, but the crowd was looking at me expectantly, and my father couldn't really refuse without looking rude. "Of course," he said with a forced smile. "Nellie, would you like to say a few words?" Every eye in the room turned to me as I stood up and walked toward the front. My heart was pounding, but I kept my expression calm. Michael, the groom, handed me the microphone with a smile, but just as I was about to take it, he paused and looked at me more closely. "Wait a minute," he said, still holding the microphone close to his mouth so everyone could hear. "Are you Nellie Mitchell?" "The Nellie Mitchell who owns Mitchell Tech Solutions." The entire ballroom went silent. I smiled and nodded. "Yes, that's me." Michael's face lit up with genuine excitement. "Oh my God, I can't believe it. You're like a legend in the tech industry. I've read about your work in Forbes and TechCrunch. This is incredible." He was still speaking into the microphone, so his words echoed throughout the silent ballroom. I could see my parents and Emily frozen at the head table, their faces showing complete shock. Everyone else in the room was staring at me with wide eyes. "I'm so honored to meet you," Michael continued. "Your database management software revolutionized how we handle enterprise data. And Mitchell Tech Solutions, I mean, you've worked with Google, Microsoft, Amazon. This is unreal. The room erupted in whispers and murmurs. I took the microphone from Michael, who was practically beaming. Thank you, Michael. That's very kind. I looked out at the crowd, then at my family. I just want to say congratulations to Emily and Michael. I wish you both a lifetime of happiness together. I kept my speech short and sweet, then handed the microphone back and started walking toward my table. Before I could sit down, my mother appeared at my side. "Nellie, sweetheart," she said in the sweetest voice I'd ever heard her use. "Why don't you come sit with us at the main table? We have room for you with the family." I looked at her fake smile and shook my head. "No thanks, Mom. I'm comfortable where I am." I returned to my table in the back corner, and as I walked, I could hear everyone whispering about me. The elderly woman sitting next to me, who I had learned was my great-aunt Helen, leaned over. "Dear, I had no idea who you were," she said. "Your parents told everyone you were struggling. They said you lived in some rundown apartment, worked at a dead-end job, and had married some alcoholic drug addict who left you with nothing." Everything suddenly made sense. The pitying looks, the questions about finding an apartment and a job, the comments about my husband. My parents had been telling everyone I was a complete failure. I just smiled and shook my head. "People say a lot of things, Aunt Helen." The reception continued, but I could feel everyone's eyes on me. People kept coming over to introduce themselves and ask about my work. Some of the younger guests recognized my name from tech blogs and wanted to take selfies. I stayed for about another hour, making polite conversation and watching Emily and Michael dance, but the whole atmosphere felt toxic to me. I'd had enough. I quietly slipped out of the ballroom and called a taxi back to my hotel. Once I was in my room, I immediately went online and booked a flight home for the next morning. I just wanted to get out of there. Around 9 o'clock that evening, my phone rang. It was an unknown local number. "Hello. Hello, Nellie, it's Mom." I did get this number. Michael gave it to me. He got it from some of his friends in the tech industry. Her voice was sickeningly sweet. "Honey, we need to talk. Your father and I would love to have you over for dinner tomorrow before you leave. We want to reconnect with you." I laughed, actually laughed out loud. "Really? You want to reconnect now after you found out I have money? That's not, we always cared about you. You had no idea how to get in touch with me? You weren't interested enough to try." "Mom, there's a difference." She began to make excuses, saying that they were honoring my desires and that they believed I wanted space. "Stop the nonsense," I replied. "I am aware of what you said about me to everyone. Helen told me. You informed the entire family that I was having trouble finding a job, living in a dump, and married to an addict. You portrayed me as a total failure. All we were concerned about was you. We were unaware of what was going on in your life. You make up stories then? You wanted others to think I was a failure, so you told them so." My mother began to stutter as she attempted to turn around. We were making jokes, and you know how family members talk." I firmly stated, "I'm done with this conversation, and I'm done with all of you. Don't get in touch with me again." I instantly blocked the number after hanging up. Within 15 minutes, my phone was ringing with text messages from other unidentified numbers, including several relatives, my father, and Emily. Now that they were aware of my achievement, I knew they all wanted to talk. Despite not reading the majority of the texts, I banned every single number. I was relieved when I took a plane home the next morning. I was mistaken to believe that would be the end of it. Emily sent me another email 2 weeks later. Unlike her wedding invitation, this one was not kind or contrite. It began, "I've done some research and discovered just how wealthy you are, Nellie. Your family is struggling while you are earning millions. It's only right that you repay the $100,000 loan we put out for my wedding. That might not seem like much to someone like you, but to us, it means the world. After 10 years of ignoring your family, you owe us this much. Family supports family, and we are your family. I anticipate that you will provide the funds within the upcoming week." Incredulous, I gazed at the email. It was astonishing in its sheer boldness. Since I could afford it, they asked me to cover Emily's wedding expenses. Emily, I'm not paying for your wedding or any other expenses, I replied back right away. Do you want to know why? Because you and our parents dubbed me a loser behind my back for 10 years. You told everyone that I was poor, an addict's wife, and a failure. Guess what though? Families are not helped by losers. And why would you want my money if I'm such a failure? Never get in touch with me again. If you do, I'll be discussing harassment charges with my attorney. After hitting send, I also blocked her email address. I haven't heard from any of them since that 6-month period ago. I suppose they were deterred by the possibility of legal action. I'm back to my regular life now, managing my business, taking on new tasks, and taking pleasure in my accomplishments. I don't have resentment toward the incident. To be honest, I'm appreciative. That wedding helped me see my family's true nature and validated my decision to leave them out of my life 10 years prior. Even if they are connected to you, some individuals are not worth maintaining in your life. Emily's wedding served as a reminder that lesson, which I had learned a long time ago, is still relevant today. Without them, I'm and always will be doing just fine.